I want to talk about what lean means at Royal Machine. Anytime we aren't actively transforming the item to the customer's goal, we aren't producing value for the customer. Example, if you pay a mechanic per hour to change your brakes, you're only paying for him to transform your car to have new brakes. The time he spends walking around looking for a bolt, drinking his coffee, jacking up each wheel, going and getting a stool, sorting through the hardware, isn't providing value to him. Imagine we could work towards having the tools he needs and the hardware he needs right at his fingertips so there's no waste. This is the principle of lean. There are 8 wastes: wasted motion, waiting, defects, overproduction, transportation, wasted potential, inventory, and excess processing. In wasted motion, the time wandering around looking for bolts, searching through the bin to find what you need. Imagine the time it takes wrapping up an extension cord every day for 2 years. Get a cord reel, having your parts on a cart but walking back and forth to the press brake. Have your cart right beside you with the parts at a hand's reach. Waiting. The time you're waiting to cut on the bandsaw to finish, you could be deburring the cut you just finished. If someone has to drive to pick something up from a bearing supplier, the passenger would just be waiting, sitting there. Maybe you could start another task at the job site to accomplish the goal quicker. Defects. Imagine the time it takes to scrap a part. First you have to buy the material, make the part, troubleshoot, identify the part's out of tolerance, set up to remake the part, then you can remake the part. It often takes 2 to 3 times more time to remake a part after it's been scrapped. So take your time to reduce defects. Overproduction. We try and plan to work efficiently, but not to produce more than we need. Because when we finish a job, we have leftover parts and they become inventory. If a part is multiple process, it makes sense to have a few more parts just in case there are any scrap or we have any defects. But we try to aim for about 5% extra. If you make 10 pieces, it makes sense to have 1 extra. If you make 1,000 pieces, sometimes it makes sense to have 50 extra. There's a balance to roughly think about the waste of how much time it would take to reset up and remake the part compared to the inventory costs. Transportation. The time to spend going to a customer job site is a necessary evil. But imagine we can have a few days worth of work on a small piece of equipment that we could just transport back here easily. It's more efficient to bring the work here than us to go there 6 times. Also, what's the point back and forth to pick something up you forgot? If you're rushing out the door in the morning to go to a job and you forget one tool, at a minimum you're 20 minutes to get that tool by the time you drive back to the shop and get it. But if you stop in the morning and spend a few minutes to walk through the job in your head, you could save that time. Wasted potential. Imagine having to show someone a few things for the first day. Not only does it take up your time, it takes up my time as well. This video is lean. It allows me not to waste my potential explaining things over and over. I can focus on things I need to do while not occupying 2 people's time explaining this principle. It's a waste of your potential here working at RMS. If you don't have the tools you need to accomplish the job, or if you're struggling with a messy area and it's slowing you down, take the time to properly set up yourself for success. Identify waste and help correct it so you can focus on maximizing the potential of providing value to the customer. Inventory. It's wasteful to store parts. You must pay for the space you're storing them on. You have to manage them so they don't go missing. If someone drives into them with a lift truck or they inevitably get dusty, you have to clean them. Oftentimes it doesn't make sense to have an awful lot of inventory. We need to try to keep what we need on hand day to day with about 2 to 3 days worth of extra material to get us through until the order we place comes through. That's a benefit of Kanban card. It triggers that process of reordering the material, and you should never run out, but you shouldn't have a massive stockpile. Just enough. We are constantly working on this, trying to dial it in. Extra processes. Really simply, this is doing more work to something that doesn't need to be. Imagine getting a plate and you have to drill a 1-inch hole. Now you could pilot drill it at 1/4 inch and then 1/2 inch and then 3/4 and then finally at 1 inch. Alternatively, you could get a properly sharpened 1-inch drill bit and a radial arm drill and drill the hole in one shot. This is extra work that is wasteful. It doesn't provide the value to the customer. The customer just wants that 1-inch hole with the least amount of waste as possible, and that's what we want to strive towards. We don't want to work hard, we want to work efficiently and smart. The most important thing about lean is identifying waste and making improvements every day to try to incrementally reduce the waste and maximizing the value you provide to the customer.